Did I see your question on yesterday's video? What was your question? What was your question, Thailand? Yeah, wait, I think I did. Hold on. Ask me the question again. I think I saw it. I'm almost positive I did, but I didn't. It popped. Wait, hold on. It was a question about gluten. Was that your question? I think that was it. There may have been a question. Shalom, Hezekiah. I think that was your question, right? I remember being about gluten because I was doing something and I seen it pop up, but I never went back to it. I got sidetracked and forgot about it. So ask me the question again, or I'll go back and I'll look at it when we done here. Okay, I gotta actually look it up because I don't remember what the whole thing was. I do remember seeing gluten when it popped up in my notifications. I gotta go back and read the whole question. Okay. All right, beautiful people. Happy Tuesday. It is June the 8th, day 170. Hold on. June 8th, 2021, day 175 of year 3 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets, and of the 3-year consecutive day count, day 844. Y'all, we are reading 4th Ezra 11, 12, and 13 today. We'll actually finish it up tomorrow because it's 16 chapters, and we'll read the last 3 tomorrow. Let's see how long it is today, then we'll hop over to Fossilized Cousins and pick it up on page 132. Okay. All right, y'all, so let's do the Shema. All right. Okay. Oh, yeah, I was saying meat was bad for the colon. Okay, so what you said? Okay, just ask me the question here. Ask me the question here. That way, when I go back, if I forget to go, I ain't gonna forget to go back to yesterday's video, but just seeing what I thought about gluten. Honestly, I don't really think much about gluten. It's just to be honest, right? Because I believe if you paying attention to gluten, really, that's based on what I understand, it's really only like a recent thing people really been paying attention to. Shalom, matter of fact, my mama mentioned something about that yesterday, day before yesterday. Mom, what you said about gluten yesterday? She came on. We really didn't hear much about that, at least in our generation. We didn't really hear much about that growing up, about gluten or whatever. It wasn't really until recently where they start labeling packages and stuff like that to where you even like gluten. What is gluten? Like, I never even thought about it. But if you go plant-based, like that is, at least me, that is not something that I worry about ever. I do have the book called Wheat Belly. When the whole big rave of gluten and being gluten-free, all that stuff went out, I watched a couple of things on it, and I even ordered a couple books. The only one I remember is called Wheat Belly. I think I mentioned that before. But I know it can't add excess weight to you. It could add it around the belly areas and stuff. It's I forget what the word is. Visceral, that's the word. Visceral fat. It will add visceral fat to your belly, right? And it's hard to, a lot of times it's hard to get rid of the visceral fat, at least for women. You will see it being added to people who drink a lot, people who have beer bellies. That's a wheat belly. All that wheat, because remember, the alcohol is formed. It's like a fermentation of wheat. But yeah, that I don't drink. I never, even when I did drink, I never was a big drinker. I just didn't like the way alcohol made my body feel. So yeah, I don't really think much like at all about gluten. That's just to be honest. I'm really not the person to talk to about it if you have a big thing with it. Yeast or wheat, yeah, yeast can puff you up too, especially women. Men can have it. Y'all know men can have yeast. Okay, they can overly consume wheat. I'm not necessarily they're gonna have a yeast infection. Like when you hear that yeast infection, people think about women and their women parts, but men can also have overgrowths of yeast in their bodies as well, where it causes them not to be able to lose weight. And it happens a lot of time with men with beer bellies and stuff as well. So yeah, they can have a wheat belly and an overgrowth of yeast, which can puff you up, literally. Okay. Oh, that's right. That's right. That's what my mom said. She said a lot of things were already gluten free, and they just started adding that statement to the labels. That's right. I remember the conversation now. They just recently started adding that to labels because the health craze, and it was another way to for them to make money. They're trying to catch it coming and going. Those that are leaving the meat industry and the dairy industry is it's like, oh, they ain't gonna be purchasing meat and stuff no more. Let's get them to purchase these products. Let's add this gluten-free, wheat-free. Like seriously, it's all about the dollar. Yeah, yeah, especially men that are diabetics. Because I've watched a couple things on men that actually it caught my attention. That's how I found out. I was like, wait, men can have yeast infections? How was that possible? But I remember I forget what it was, but I also remember what's that pastor's name? Him and his son. He real big in Bible prophecy. Hagee, John Hagee. Him and his son. I forget who it was, but they were at a point where they were trying to lose weight. And they found out they had overgrowth of yeast in their body. And when who was there? I forget whatever that nutritionist guy was that I was looking up, he brought up their story. But anyway, he put them on a yeast-free diet, amongst other things. And I'm not sure what they're doing now, because last time I seen them, I was like, look like they started putting the yeast back in their bodies. But they had lost a lot of weight, especially John Hagee's son. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. I was like, everybody need to cut out yeast. Look, let me tell you. Even during a week of unleavened bread, going through your house and picking through things and making sure you have all the yeast removed and being actually training yourself to be conscious of that. It's like, man, after this week, after that week and actually going through with the process of keeping the command of removing all the leaven from your house, it causes you to really think about how much we really consume a lot of this, and this really can't be good. And when you cut out yeast, like, because I love bread, but we've almost kind of parted ways with bread. I don't eat it as much as I did, but I love bread, but bread don't love me, and it puffs me up because of the yeast and stuff. And when I began to realize, I was like, oh, so I think I've pretty much cut. Yeah, it's rare. It's really, really rare now that I'll eat bread with something. I may have croutons on my salad or something like that, but most of the time I even switch from eating like the croutons with yeast in it, and I get like the garlic peppers. I like those much better than the croutons anyway. So yes, it's a lot of things, and it's a process. But yeah, a lot of yeah. So all those things, I actually think about when you keep y'all's commands as well, and it has you manually observing the feast, like where you actually have to do something. It causes you to, it literally causes you to think about what you're doing with your whole life. Like, man, I got a whole lot of this in here. Why do I have so much of this? I can kind of see it's affecting my children. It'll cause you to have eczema problems, like everything. Like I'm telling you, Yahuwah's commands is just good all the way around. A lot of people just kind of chalk it up to being some religious thing and all. But when you really begin to do it and just keep it and really just really begin to think about it and ponder on it and how it begins to affect your life and how your quality of life begins to improve bit by bit. I mean, if you're paying attention, not just doing it as a religious thing, okay, Passover coming up. Let's do this. Okay, that is done with. But if you actually, like I said, if you begin really to meditate on those things and think about it and why it happened and how your body begins to feel and how it begins to heal itself, it's amazing. At least it is for me and my personal experience, y'all. So, okay. Tylane, that was your question I answered, so I don't have to go back and look at it. Well, I'll probably answer your question anyway, although I answered it here. All right, y'all. Auntie, hey, girl, hey. All right, y'all. So let's go ahead and do the Shema, which is found in Deuteronomy. I got to move this over here. Can't see it. Deuteronomy chapter 6, starting at verse 3. Pay attention, people. Hear, therefore, O Israel, and observe to do it, that it may be well with you, and that you may increase mightily, as YAHUAH, the Elohim of our fathers, has promised us, in the land that flows with milk and honey. Hear, O Israel, YAHUAH, our mighty one, he is one. And you shall love YAHUAH, your Elohim, with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your might. And these words which I command you this day shall be in your hearts. And you shall teach them diligently unto your children, and shall talk of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up. And you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. And you shall write them upon the posts of your house and on your gates. And YAHUAH commanded us to do all these statutes, to fear YAHUAH, our mighty one, for our good always, that he might preserve us alive, as it is at this day. And it shall be our righteousness if we observe to do all these commandments before YAHUAH, our mighty one, as he has promised us. Okay, cool, Tylane. Okay, I'm glad I answered your question. All right, y'all. All these emails coming in first thing this morning. Okay. All right, so let's move this back. Let's hop on over here to the Sefer, to the scroll, to 4th Ezra, also known as 2nd Esdras. Like the name of 2nd Esdras, just in case you didn't know, there was a Bible. So it would be like the first 2 books in the Apocrypha. All right. Okay, so remember, Ezra was asking the question, why do wicked people seem to get away with everything? And it seems like the people who love you, we can't seem to catch a break, right? So YAHUAH is answering him through the angel Uriel, and each time he wants to know something a little bit deeper, he said, okay. Angel told him, he said, you go fast 7 days more, and even more shall be revealed unto you, right? And this last time, yesterday when we read, he asked about a certain thing, and he told him, he said, this time, he said, don't fast. He said, but I only want you, he said, go to a field where there's only flowers. No buildings, nothing. It's just the open field. Nothing should be built there. Go to that field. And while you're there this week, this next 7 days, eat nothing but the herbs of the field. And here it says flowers, right? But it also explains that it's the herbs of the field, like they're edible. They are edible flowers, like we talked about yesterday. He said, and more will be revealed unto you then. So remember, he went out to the field and he had an open vision. And there was a purpose for the angel telling him to go to a field that was completely open, not barren, but there was no structures built because of the vision that he was going to have while he was there. Remember? He saw a building, and then he saw a woman weeping who had just lost her son. And she was asking, she said she was going to stay there and she was going to fast until she died, right? And Ezra tried to console her, and she would not be consoled. And then the dream was Ezra tried to be consoling her. When she wouldn't be consoled, he began to say, well, how are you, woman? How are you crying and weeping over the loss of your one son when our mother Zion has lost all her sons and daughters? And should you be weeping more than she? So that conversation went on between him and her, and then she disappeared, and he realized, wait a minute, was this all a dream? And then Uriel began to show up and give him the interpretation of the open vision that he had just seen. He said, a matter of fact, and I don't know, well, clearly he really thought he was woke and talking to a real woman. But the angel began to explain to him that the woman actually did represent Zion. And the one son that she was talking about being bereaved of, it actually was all the children of Zion. And Zion weeps for her children because her children are no more. But clearly we know her children are, and explains that. But her children aren't completely destroyed because we've been scattered. We're just not home in our homeland. The land weeps for us, right? Because we are not there, right? Okay, so we're picking it back up. Chapter 11. Yeah, chapter 11, 4th Ezra. Then I saw a dream, and behold, there came up from the sea an eagle, which had 12 feathered wings and 3 heads. And I saw, and behold, she spread her wings over all the earth, and all the wings of the air blew on her and were gathered together. And I beheld out of her feathers there grew other contrary feathers, and they became little feathers and small. But her heads were at rest, and the head in the midst was greater than the other, yet rested it with a remnant. Moreover, I beheld, and lo, the eagle flew with her feathers and reigned upon the earth and over them that dwell therein. And I saw that all things under heaven were subject unto her, and no man spoke against her, no, not one creature upon the earth. And I beheld, and lo, the eagle rose upon her talons and spoke to her feathers, saying, Watch not all at once. Sleep every one in his own place, and watch by course, but let the heads be preserved for the last. And I beheld, and lo, the voice went out not of her heads, but from the midst of her body. And I numbered her contrary feathers, and behold, there were 8 of them. And I looked, and behold, on the right side there arose 1 feather and reigned over all the earth. Then this kind of sound like the dream that Daniel had with the horns that rose up, and then that 1 small horn that came up. It sounds like the same. It sounds like the same dream. Let's keep reading. And I looked, and behold, on the right side there arose 1 feather and reigned over all the earth. And so it was that when it rained, the end of it came, and the place thereof appeared no more. So the next following stood up and reigned, and had a great time. And it happened that when it rained, the end of it came also, like as the first, so that it appeared no more. Then came there a small voice unto it and said, Hear you that have borne rule over the earth so long. This I say unto you, before you began to appear no more, there shall none after you attain unto your time, neither unto the half thereof. Then arose the third and reigned as the other before, and appeared no more also. So it went with all the remnant, one after another, and as that everyone reigned, and then appeared no more. Then I beheld, and lo, in the process of time, the feathers that followed stood upon the right side, that they might rule also. And some of them ruled, but within a while they appeared no more. For some of them were set up, but ruled not. After this I looked, and behold, 12 feathers appeared no more, nor the 2 little feathers. And there was no more upon the eagle's body, but 3 heads that rested, and 6 little wings. Then saw I also that 2 little feathers divided themselves from the 6, and remained under the head that was also upon the right side, for the 4 continued in their place. And I beheld, and lo, the feathers that were under the wing thought to set themselves up and to have the rule. And I beheld, and lo, there was 1 set up, but shortly it appeared no more. And the second was sooner away than the first. And I beheld, and lo, the 2 that remained thought also in themselves to reign. And when they thought so, behold, there awakened one of the heads that were at rest, namely, it that was in the midst, for that was greater than the 2 other heads. And then I saw that the 2 other heads were joined with it. And behold, the head that was turned with them were with it, and did eat up the 2 feathers under the wing that would have reigned. But This head put the whole earth in fear and bore rule in it over all those that dwelt upon the earth with much oppression. And it had the governance of the world more than all the wings that had been. And after this I beheld, and lo, the head that was in the midst suddenly appeared no more, like as the wings, but there remained the two heads, which also in like sort ruled upon the earth and over those that dwelt therein. And I beheld, and lo, the head upon the right side devoured it that was upon the left side. Then I heard a voice which said unto me, Look before you and consider the things that you see. And I beheld, and lo, as it were a roaring lion chased out of the wood. And I saw that he sent out a man's voice unto the eagle and said, Here, I will talk with you, and El Elyon shall say unto you, are not you it that remain of the four living creatures, whom I have made to reign in my world, that the end of their time might come through them? And the fourth came and overcame all the beasts that were past, and had power over the world with great fearfulness, and over the whole compass of the earth with much wicked oppression. And so long time dwelt he upon the earth with deceit. So if we know about Daniel's dream and understand the revelation of Daniel's dream, this is the same thing, just in a different fashion, but it's the same principle with literally like the same thing. Daniel saw the beast. I got you, Trina. Okay. But the beast that Daniel saw, it represented the four different kingdoms that would reign. And it's like sub kingdoms that reign with those kingdoms, but the main four kingdoms that reign. This is like the same thing, right? And so if this hadn't been kept in, or if this hadn't been kept away from us, we'd have started asking questions. Well, wait, didn't they have the same type? Because there are certain things that you can't, what's the word? You can't, there are things that you would not be able to wrongly assume about the book of Daniel and a couple of the prophecies in there if you had read Ezra. And you would not be able to wrongly assume those things about the book of Daniel and some of the prophecies and how they connect things to different things if you also had the book of Maccabees, right? So if we had those from the beginning, some of these prophecies that we hear a lot of time in the church, they would not have been, because it would have been impossible to come to that conclusion when we see it happening in different places. Some of those things haven't been fulfilled, but some of those things have already, and they're very, very specifically to the T have been fulfilled, what Daniel said. But a lot of the stuff, I ain't gonna say a lot of the stuff, some of the stuff still hasn't. But I would say a lot of the stuff still hasn't, because we're still scattered. Like, because a lot of the stuff is not going to happen. It can't happen until we have been returned to our own homeland. And because we're still scattered, we know that the prophecies are still left undone, right? They have not been done yet. For you have afflicted the meek, you have hurt the peaceable, you have loved liars and destroyed the dwellings of them that brought forth fruit, and have cast down the walls of such as did you no harm. Therefore is your wrongful dealing come up unto El Elyon, and your pride unto El. El Elyon has also looked upon the proud times, and behold, they are ended, and his abominations are fulfilled, and therefore appear no more. You eagle, nor your horrible wings, nor your wicked feathers, nor your malicious heads, nor your hurtful claws, nor all your vain body, that all the earth may be refreshed and may return, being delivered from your violence, and that she may hope for the judgment and mercy of him that made her. Next chapter. Like people say, judgment is coming. Israel cries out for the judgment of Yah, right? Those of us who have been taken out of Wonderland, or have been awakened to Wonderland, or what's really going on, we cry out for judgment. All the earth cries out for the manifestations of the sons and daughters of Yah, right? Because when they appear, the truth returns. Truth comes back, right? Truth, that means truth is back in the land. Truth is back. Y'all remember who was reading Legends of the Jews? And truth, it said, truth has sprung up out the earth. And I was like, Yahuwah was like, she'll be back. Just chill out. She'll be back. I'm like, truth won't even stay down here. You see what's going on out here? I cannot stay down here in this place. I'm springing up out of this earth, right? But truth has returned, right? We know because we're being awakened, right? All right. 4th Ezra chapter 12. And it came to pass, while the lion spoke these words unto the eagle, I saw, and behold, that the head that remained and the 4 wings appeared no more. And the 2 went unto it and set themselves up to reign, and their kingdom was small and full of uproar. And I saw, and behold, they appeared no more, and the whole body of the eagle was burnt, so that the earth was in great fear. Then awakened I out of the trouble and trance of my mind, and from great fear, and said unto my spirit, Lo, this have you done unto me, and that you search out the ways of El Elyon. And remember, El Elyon is just another term for YAHUAH alone, okay? Just in case you forgot or you didn't know. Lo, I am weary in my mind, and very weak in my spirit, and little strength is there in me. For the great fear wherewith I was afflicted this night. Therefore, I will now beseech El Elyon that he will comfort me unto the end. And if you actually have a Sefer, and if you're reading along with me and you're wondering why I'm changing some of the words like Ruach, just in case you didn't know, Ruach means spirit or the breath of life, or my spirit was awakened, right? So just in case you didn't know, you didn't read the introduction and the preface to this. Just in case, because I hear some of our people waking up and they'll begin to speak in some of these words to people who are like just waking up and don't know what you mean. They can, if you listen long enough to them, you can figure it out. Oh, ruach must mean spirit. You know, where we would say spirit. Like I'll just say spirit because a lot of people may not know. You know, although I'm learning how to speak in Hebrew and different languages and stuff, because my audience is mostly America and we speak English, I'm just going to use the words we're familiar with and explain it to you in a way, in a language that you're familiar with. Although we can use Hebrew words, but that wouldn't benefit you. It really wouldn't, especially if you don't know, if you haven't taken time to study those words. So be patient with those that are doing that, they're speaking to you and they're doing their prayers in Hebrew. It's good to hear it. It really is good to know and understand it. But you will get more benefit by me using the language that you understand, right? Instead of me using a language that you should understand, but you don't quite yet, right? So it benefits you more that you can hear it in a language that you can understand and by me speaking in another tongue, right? Okay. Lo, yet I am weary in my mind and very weak in my spirit, and little strength is there in me, for the great fear wherewith I was afflicted this night. Therefore will I now beseech El Elyon that he will comfort me unto the end. And I said, YAHUAH Adonai, if I have found grace before your sight, and if I am justified with you before many others, and if my prayer indeed come up before your face, comfort me then, and show me your servant the interpretation and plain difference of this fearful vision, that you may perfectly comfort my soul. For you have judged me worthy to show me the last times. Excuse me. And he said unto me, this is the interpretation of the vision. The eagle whom you saw come up from the sea is the kingdom which was seen in the vision of your brother Daniel. Yo, I forgot this was here. I was just talking about this. I forgot because it's literally been I ain't gonna say a whole year since the last time we read, because I have been in and out, but not reading this through like I do some of the other stuff, right? Look, so if everybody had a note about this, so it had been separated from the other stuff, we would clearly see, like I was just saying, there are some things that you read in Daniel that you would not have assumed things wrongly about if you had the book of Ezra and if you had Maccabees, right? Yo. Look, let me read it again. Okay. And he said unto me, this is the interpretation of the vision. The eagle whom you saw come up from the sea is the kingdom which was seen in the vision of your brother Daniel. But it was not expounded unto him. Therefore now I declare it unto you. Behold, the days will come that there shall rise up a kingdom upon earth, and it shall be feared above all the kingdoms that were before it. In the same shall 12 kings reign. one after another, whereof the second shall begin to reign, and shall have more time than any of the 12. And this do the 12 wings signify, which you saw. As for the voice which you heard speak, and that you saw not go out from the heads, but from the midst of the body thereof, this is the interpretation. That after the time of that kingdom there shall arise great strivings, and it shall stand in peril of failing. Nevertheless, it shall not then fall, but shall be restored again to its beginning. And whereas you saw the 8 small under feathers sticking to her wings, this is the interpretation. That in him there shall arise 8 kings, whose times shall be but small, and yet their read too fast. Let me read it again. Verse 20. That in him there shall arise 8 kings, whose times shall be but small, and their years swift. And 2 of them shall perish, the middle time approaching. 4 shall be kept until their end began to approach, but 2 shall be kept until the end. And whereas you saw 3 heads resting, this is the interpretation. In the last days shall El Elyon raise up 3 kingdoms and renew many things therein, and they shall have the dominion of this earth, and those that dwell therein with much oppression, above all those that were before them. Therefore they are called the heads of the eagle. For these are they that shall accomplish his wickedness, and that shall finish his last end. And whereas you saw the great head appeared no more, it signifies that one of them shall die upon his bed, and yet with pain. For the 2 that remain shall be slain with the sword. Hey, who is that? Oh, what is that? That's your toothbrush? Oh, okay. That thing is loud. Okay. For the 2 that remain shall be slain with the sword. For the sword of the one shall devour the other, but at the last shall he fall through the sword himself. And whereas you saw the 2 feathers under the wings passing over the head that is on the right side, it signifies that these are they whom El Elyon has kept unto their end. This is a small kingdom and full of trouble, as you saw. And the lion whom you saw rising up out of the wood and roaring and speaking to the eagle, and rebuking her for her unrighteousness with all the words which you have heard, this is the anointed, which El Elyon has kept for them and for their wickedness unto the end. He shall reprove them and shall upbraid them with their cruelty. For he shall set them before him alive in judgment, and shall rebuke them and correct them. For the rest of my people shall he deliver with mercy, those that have been pressed upon my borders, and he shall make them joyful unto the coming day of judgment, whereof I have spoken unto you from the beginning. This is the dream that you saw, and these are the interpretations. It's talking about us, y'all, us who are awakening and returning to the truth, and he's keeping us until the day of judgment comes. All where we're scared, like all these things, that's talking about literally our generation, right? I mean, not just our generation, but even those who have been waking up in the previous generations. But it seems like there's a much more mass awakening during this current generation and all of this stuff. And as I go back and look, and some people are still alive from previous generations that have been telling you of these truths, and even the main truth that Yahuwah is one. I'm like, they have been teaching this. People have been knowing this for years, but people just, oh, get out of here. That don't go with the narrative we pushing. We can't teach that in church. Like, I'm looking back, I'm like, wow. And it seems, at least as far back as I have gone, at least what I'm able to pull up in the internet world, it goes back to, it was like the earliest video. It's like the 1909. No, I think the earliest year. Oh, the earliest year was the year I was born. Where when I saw that, I was like, oh, and because the video was really old, but they said this is from 1970, and I was like, that's the year I was born. So it's quite interesting. This is the dream that you saw, and these are the interpretations. You only have you only have been meet to know this secret of El Elyon. Therefore, write all these things that you have seen in a sefer and hide them, and teach them to the wives of the people whose heart you know may comprehend and keep these secrets. Blessed be Yah for counting us wise and knowing these secrets, right? That hear these things. Woo, yo. And these teach to them of the wives of the and teach them to the wise of the people whose hearts you know may comprehend and keep these secrets. But wait here yourself yet 7 more days, that it may be showed you whatsoever it pleases El Elyon to declare unto you. And with that he went his way. And it came to pass, when all the people saw that the 7 days were past, and I did not come again into the city, they gathered them all together from the least unto the greatest, and came unto me and said, what have we offended you? And what evil have we done against you, that you forsake us and sit here in this place? For of all the prophets, you only are left us as a cluster of the vintage, and as a candle in a dark place, and as a haven or ship preserved from the tempest. Are not the evils which are come to us sufficient? If you forsake us, how much better it had been for us if we also had burned in the midst of Zion. For we are not better than they that died there. And they wept with a loud voice. Then answered I them and said, be of good comfort, O YAHUAH, O Israel, and be not heavy, you house of Jacob. For El Elyon has you in remembrance, and YAHUAH has not forgotten you in temptation. As for me, I have not forsaken you, neither am I departed from you, but am come into this place to pray for the desolation of Zion, and that I might seek mercy for the low estate of your sanctuary. And now go your way home, every man, and after these days I will come unto you. So the people went their way into the city, like as I commanded them, but I remained still in the field 7 days, as the angel commanded me, and did eat only those days the flowers of the field, and had my meat of the herbs. Herbs is also considered meat, y'all. Remember whole conversation yesterday about plant-based stuff. Okay, last chapter will be at 37 minutes. And here we have 58 verses. So be prepared. Remember, if y'all got to go to work, cut out, go to work. This recording can always come back later, people. And it came to pass, after 7 days, I dreamed a dream by night. I dreamed a dream by night. Oh, let me bring up something. Somebody asked me, I forget who it was. I had to go back. But somebody asked me, they responded to the video we did the other day when we were talking about astral projection, right? Or like seeing in the spirit or having open vision. You can actually like interact with your dreams. You also hear it being called lucid dreaming. Okay, Talane. Hey. She says she ordered the CMOS capsules from Plant-Based Jeff. Okay, that's where I get mine from. It's another site I get them from too, which I literally just came upon. I haven't started taking them yet, but I wanted to see if there was a difference. But the Plant-Based Jeff stuff is pretty good. Okay, sidetrack. You got me sidetracked, Talane. Look, but it was a point. He was asking that I know any ways to astral project because he watched a lot of videos. I said, nah, I'm not in the habit of giving people information that's going to cause them harm. And remember how we talked about it's dangerous because it's not just la la land when you can learn to interact with your dreams. But depending on how much you know and how much you grow, you will also begin to interact with angels or malignant entities and also other humans that are in that realm, right? You will actually begin to see them operate, and you will begin to actually, if you see them in the real world, you're like, oh shoot, and things are really beginning to start clicking for you. But anyway, I told him, go read the book. I ain't gonna give you no ways to do it because apparently there's a lot of different ways. But I will tell you, I'm gonna say this to y'all too, just in case y'all been looking. I'm glad he asked the question. I remember I was like, oh, I didn't tell them that in the video. There are different ways. I may have mentioned it, but I don't really remember expounding on it too much. I would not recommend, because if you go looking up astral projection and lucid dreaming or seeing into the spirit, open visions, you will come across the videos that will tell you that it'll help you speed up the process by taking a substance. Like you have I think you pronounce it ayahuasca. People, it's a herb. It's a herb, but don't let it fool you. Don't do that. Don't try and enter that realm by using substances. Even if they're herbs of the field, don't do it. Now, what I will say, listen, the herbs of the field that you can consume is a plant-based diet, the ones you can eat and consume, not the ones you smoke and inhale, right? There's a difference. There's a difference. Something happens, right? Eat them, right? If you want to, because what it's doing is it's going to, there are certain properties that different herbs will give off that will cause a change in your state of mind, not just mentally, and physically, but also spiritually as well. And that's not the route you want to enter the spiritual realm by, right? You want to be completely conscious of what's going on, and you want to be in complete control. And a lot of times when you take substances that you inhale and that you burn, you're walking a fine line, right? I do not recommend that you do that by taking drugs. Stay away from them, right? Do it the right way. Some people just like, let me just try this. Let's get in here. Don't do that. Those are people who are taking shortcuts, and you can find yourself in some trouble, because if you enter into that realm by a shortcut and you don't know the manual way to get yourself back out, it could be very detrimental for you, right? So do not do that. Learn about the proper way of cleansing your body. As you begin to cleanse your body, because it's a natural thing and everybody should be able to operate in that realm, do it the right way. Wean yourself off of the king's meat. Stop eating everything that the king set out at the table, right? Cleanse your body up. Get your mind right. As you begin to cleanse, it's going to happen as you do it over the I know that sounds long, like, oh my gosh, the process of time. What you're going to notice is if you do it the right way, when you begin to clean your body up, as you begin to feed yourself life, the herbs of the field, plant-based diet, what's going to happen is everything that has been calcified, even your pineal gland that everybody has. Sometimes when people hear pineal gland, oh my gosh, witchcraft, what are you doing? No, people. It's literally, everybody has a pineal gland. In the medical field, you can go look into it. Everybody has that. In the spiritual realm, they call it the seat of the soul. It's the place in the human body whereby if the medical field can detect that particular portion in your brain has been calcified, you are going to be spiritually dense, spiritually dumb, like you will not understand. And that's what the meat from the king's table does to your physical body that affects your spiritual body. It will calcify your pineal gland, which you will not be able to see, you will not be able to perceive. And it's crazy. What will happen if you do it the right way by eating a plant-based diet? I heard one guy say 7-day vegan challenge. He'll be talking, and every so often 7-day vegan challenge, he'll just say it like out the blue. And I used to watch some of his videos. I'm like, is he going to explain this? But he would just kind of drop in little gems. But what happens is he does explain it. But what happens is if you begin to clean your body up, the process of being able to astral project, if you want to use those terms, or seeing a spirit, or become spiritually aware and be able to perceive, that will begin to happen naturally for you, right? And even when you take, because it happens a lot for me when I water fast, is like, it's because nothing else is inhibiting my body, my thoughts. I'm not taking all the energy that my body creates to digest the food. It's easy to enter that realm. So people, when you fast, you dream a lot, or you have a lot of open visions. I just wanted to bring that up for y'all. If you want to do it, if you want to experience it, and everybody should experience it, it literally helps your life. YAHUAH made it available for everybody. Everybody can do it, even children, right? But if you do it the right way, you make a habit of living your life on giving it life and feeding it living foods, it'll just happen naturally, and you won't run into some of these other issues that other people get into by taking shortcuts, because I just need to see right now. Like, give me the good stuff now. I can't give you the good stuff now, because if I give you the good stuff now and you don't understand these basic principles, you're going to get stuck, right? I'm not into the habit of getting people stuck, right? I'm in the habit of helping you get unstuck and doing things the right way. Don't take shortcuts, y'all. Look, I got in trouble in my military days for taking shortcuts. It's called gun decking. You go to captain's mass. I shared a couple of them stories with you. You lose money. You lose rank. You don't take shortcuts, people. Personal experience. And don't get a teacher that teaches you shortcuts. That's why I got in trouble. I had a teacher who taught me shortcuts instead of doing it the right way at first. I think you remember this, Trina. You remember. I ain't gonna say his name. But I was put on watch with a petty officer. I hadn't yet made rank, but I was on watch with him, and he was the watch captain. But at night, look, 3 times for you, Uncle JB. Look, and I knew something was wrong. I was like, wait a minute, because I knew how to. They teach you how to stay in a proper watch, right? They teach everybody how to stay in a proper watch. But when they put you with somebody, your superior officer, whatever you want to call them, or your petty officer, they should be following the rules too. But if they link up somebody younger with somebody older, and the person who's older begins to take shortcuts. Now, listen, if you understand the manual way, you can take shortcuts to get to a desired end. But that's only recommended if you know the manual way, right? Because if you're taking your shortcut and something happens, oops, we need to backtrack, you know what to do and how far you need to go back to continue to bring the desired outcome and a safe outcome.
Mom,
yes.
Chat.
Okay, very good. To safely to get where you need to go. You can navigate that because you have the knowledge of the previous levels or the proper way to do it, right? I think nobody should be authorized to do shortcuts unless you've already gone through it the manual way and you know the manual way back and forwards, right?
Why do you want to push that?
Because if you start off with shortcuts, you might can die. And I know this not proper English. You might can die. And not just you, but you might take a whole lot of people with you. So that's why I said, do it the manual way. Learn to do it the right way, y'all. Take the time and study. Don't just get the cliff notes. Take the time and grow step by step so you don't get in trouble, right? That's not a lesson you want to learn the hard way. Some people don't come back for them shortcut judgment lessons, right? Do it the right way. I know it may seem long, like my kids say, this is taking a long time. And Bella said, this is so longer. I'm like, chill out. We're going to get there. I want to show you how to do it the right way, right? So stay away from drugs that will inhibit you, right? And you can get there. I don't recommend doing it that way. So, and anybody that's telling you, come on, let's do it this way. And that's not drugs is not ever a shortcut I would recommend you take ever. Because those who start that way, start those shortcuts, a lot of them get hooked on those drugs. A lot of them begin to try to escape to get into that realm. Some people get into that realm and realize there's gems you can bring out of that realm into the physical realm. It can make me rich. What? Let's get right there, and then when it happens, that it doesn't happen just like that because you're training your body to get used to a substance. Now you need something harder and harder each time. And now you could possibly become strung out on drugs. Now that wasn't your intention. Your intention was to go and learn a spiritual principle, but you were taking shortcuts and they got you hooked up with the wrong things. And now you're strung out. Now somebody need to come rescue you. You took a shortcut, didn't you? Didn't I tell you? Stay away from this, right? Get a good teacher, people. Stay away from people who teach you shortcuts. I mean, you can be taught shortcuts if you listen. Now, if you're a good teacher who has taught you manually, and a good teacher who has taught you manually, they can teach you a shortcut, but they will teach you proper shortcuts. There are authorized shortcuts and there are unauthorized shortcuts, right? There are shortcuts available for some people, just like if you live in Virginia, right? You got HOV lanes, or the lanes where you can bypass traffic, and you got the lanes for the let's say the regular people, right? You can only ride in the HOV lane at certain times of the day if you meet certain requirements, right? But if you try to sidestep those requirements, got a funny story for you. I tried it. I tried taking a shortcut because I was about to be late for work. Look, and I was still active. You would think I would get it. I was still active duty military, but I was pregnant and I was TAD to the detachment at NOB, right? So, and I was working a flight control. I was pregnant. Didn't want to turn the bed loose that morning. Out late, HOV lane. You can only drive in HOV lane this early in the morning. It was still in the 6 o'clock hour. You can only drive in the HOV lane if there's a second party in the vehicle with you, right? Yo, I was 8 months pregnant. And I'm like, forget this. I can't be late today. I hops in the HOV lane and I'm booking. I'm doing like 85, almost 90, trying to get to the base, right? Next thing I know, I mean, it's cops, they're randomly riding the HOV lane, right? And I'm like, shoot, you know, here he comes. So I'm like, okay, a lot of times they they looking, but they probably not looking for real, right?
Mommy,
Yes.
Barbie wants this one.
Yeah, okay, chill out. Wait a minute. Hold on. I don't know if I'm Barbie don't want that. You want that. So anyway, cop, look, let me tell you, people that know, a lot of people, if you know to do what's right and you don't, you stand a chance of getting caught a whole lot faster than those who are ignorantly not doing what's right, right? Because you know what's right. And like, I can't get away with doing nothing. Not that I purposely try and get away with stuff, but I realized real early that, especially because I'm taught, but if I try and take a shortcut or try to see if I can see how far I can step over the line, right? Not necessarily step over the line, but bend the rules just a little bit, right? Not necessarily bend them, but it was my fault that I was late. I should have got up, right? So now I want to take advantage of something that doesn't necessarily apply to me, but I know it'll get me there on time. But really, I'm not authorized at this moment. I'm not authorized to use it, right? So, but you can't ride in the HOV lane unless you got two people with you. I'm thinking, I got a second person with me. Although he's unseen at the moment, it's a second person in his vehicle. Nobody will take a woman to court and say that this baby in your stomach is not a second person. That was my thinking, right? HOV lane, woo, woo. I'm like, oh, shoot. Pulls over. Cop comes. And I know when I see him do this, he's looking for the second person. And I'm like, and he can see I'm pregnant, right? So I just rolled the window all the way down so you can see the second person sitting on my lap. And he said, ma'am, we headed to work. Of course, I had my uniform on, but still they have pregnant, and I had on my dungarees. So you can see it was one of them, right? You can see my stomach. And he said, ma'am, you know it's supposed to be two people in the car this early in the morning driving through the HOV lane. I said, there's a second person here. He said, roll down your back windows. Roll them down. I'm like, sir, here's the second man right here. And he started laughing. He said, you know what? That was good, but I'm still give you a ticket. Stay out the HOV lane. The person needs to be outside of your body. It was hilarious. I still got a ticket. I went ahead and paid it. I wasn't even gonna try and fight it because I knew that my reasoning, it wasn't gonna fly in court. But it could have flied in court if I got the right judge. And I talked about you would have to use the whole Jedi mind trick. Like the child is a second person, right? But that's you trying to play with people because the person in your stomach is not the point, right? You're trying to get people to focus. Yes, the baby is a human being. No, the rule states that there must be two people sitting inside of the vehicle. And yes, technically they were both sitting inside of the vehicle, but the second person was inside of the vehicle of my body. There had to be two butts on two physical seats inside of the physical vehicle, right? Y'all pray for a sister, right? So those are the type of things that people try and do. And because I tried these things and I did things like this, I can see when these things are being done. So get you a good teacher, somebody who is going to teach you the right manual way and not going to teach you unauthorized shortcuts. You can take shortcuts, but only authorized shortcuts, right? And not everybody can take, it's only certain people who can take certain authorized shortcuts. So make sure if you're following the rules all the time, you will be safe while navigating the spiritual realm. And everybody should learn to navigate the spiritual realm, but properly, right? Properly. Get you a good teacher. Keep sound judgment, wisdom. Use the good teaching. Don't try to cheat the system. It's a baby, she had a boy. Like using the collect call number line by not putting in a quarter or come pick me up on the corner of Washington and John, right? You could have just put the quarter in. You calling your parents collect to come pick you up. You're trying to cheat the system, people. Just do what's right. Do what's right, people. Don't try and cheat the system. Because if you don't know how to get yourself out of that shortcut, if a problem happens on the shortcut lane, you're in trouble. You're in a lot of trouble. Okay. Last chapter. And it came to pass after 7 days, I dreamed a dream by night, and lo, there arose a wind from the sea. Okay, I'm sorry. So the whole point of saying all that, The legal way is to begin to clean your body up. Plant-based diet, practice of fasting, and you will see that those things will begin to naturally happen for you. And you can grow appropriately in the way that you personally need to grow by fasting, cleansing your body, because you're going to begin to deal with things that you need to deal with personally, mental issues, family issues. It's all going to come up. You're going to begin to experience all of these things in your dreams. But it'll be at the appropriate pace on which you're able to handle each level, right? So as you cleanse your body up more and more, certain things will be uncovered, decalcified, and you can begin to see, and it won't be overwhelming for you. Just like what YAHUAH said when he was going to drive the people out of the lands, one by one or little by little, he said, because if I drove them out all at once, it will be too much for you. The land will overtake you, and the wild beasts will multiply, and it will harm you. So he said, little by little, as you begin to take control back over your land, I'm going to drive them out one by one. That way, at each stage, every time you drive somebody out, you have the resources, you have the strength, you have the know-how to begin to build and to replace things, because they were there. They were tenants of the land, right? And they've been keeping it all this time. So you have to learn how to do these things. And as you get this skill down, we'll uproot the tenant and bring the master back into this place, right? It's the same thing. You can see this even through the stories of his, the same thing with gaining control back over yourself, right? Everything doesn't happen at once. It'll overtake you, and people become discouraged, like, put me back in the matrix, right? Yeah. Just like learning math, you have to learn the long way before you can use the shortcut. Exactly. Okay, so that was the whole point of taking that little, I ain't gonna necessarily rabbit trail, but that just pausing for a moment and explaining. So that's why. Okay. Learn how to do it the manual way, the right way first. It'll keep you on course, and you will continue to progress, and you won't have to backtrack so much to try and figure out what's going on. You'll be able to pinpoint it really quick. Okay. And it came to pass after 7 days, I dreamed a dream by night, and lo, there arose a wind from the sea, that it moved all the ways thereof. And I beheld, and lo, that a man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven. And when he turned his countenance to look, all the things trembled that were seen under him. And whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burned that heard his voice, like as the earth fails when it feels a fire. And after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of number from the four winds of the heavens, to subdue the man that came out of the sea. But I beheld, and lo, he had graved himself a great mountain, and flew up upon it. But I would have seen the region or the place whereout the hill was graven, and I could not. And after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were sore afraid, and yet dared fight. And lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand, nor held sword, nor instrument of war, but only I saw that he sent out of his mouth, as it had been a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks of tempest, and they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude which was prepared to fight, and burned them up everywhere, so that upon a sudden of an innumerable multitude nothing was to be perceived, but only dust and smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid. Afterwards saw I the same man come down from the mountain, and call unto him another peaceable multitude. And there came much people unto him, whereof some were glad, some were sorry, and some of them were bound, and some other bought of them that were offered. Then I was sick through great fear, and I awakened and said, you have showed your servant these wonders from the beginning, and have counted me worthy that you should receive my prayer. Show me now yet the interpretation of this dream. For as I conceive in my understanding, woe unto them that shall be left in those days, much more woe unto them that are not left behind. Look. Y'all know the movies, how it tell you, those who are left behind are in for the greatest danger and horrors. No. Mm-mm. You better pray that you are one of the ones left behind, because it's those that are taken, right? It's much sorrow for those that are taken. Listen.
It's your message brain, but backwards.
Yeah.
Of God. Keep playing. Oh, I got taken. All of a sudden, you in the black boy, you don't know what to do. You got some big old thing looking at you. Yeah, you're going to be mad. You're going to be real mad at that point.
Jeremiah. And he pretty much saying, yeah, you want to make sure you left behind because they playing with y'all.
Hey, vegan diet, stop messing with that chicken stuff. I know y'all like your soul food now.
Look,
I know you like your soul food. I know it's hard to give up. But hey, man,
Jeremiah
really
just hurt.
Look, like honestly, do you really want to look at a big old demon? It's like honestly, is the food that worth?
Okay, so just in case, Jeremiah, 18 now. Look, just turned 18, but he decided a few days. Well, how long it's been?
So it's been a week and probably 2 days.
Okay, a little over a week, you know. And now I don't be on them like y'all need to, you know. But they just kind of watch me and we transition, we try different dishes or whatever. But he decided a little over a week ago. Yes.
We're trying to take him back.
Okay, very good. He decided that maybe I should just test this no meat thing. I'm just completely, you know. And he decided he wasn't going to do it. But not only that, he also decided, wait, isn't eggs considered meat too? Because some people still eat eggs, but still technically it's a meat byproduct, right? But they kind of call it dairy, but it is also a meat substitute. But he couldn't even bring himself to eat that. So he's been doing pretty good, you know. So he's been meat free a little over a week. Yay, Jeremiah. Okay. So, but yeah, as you begin to get it out your system, you'll notice that how your body begins to change and how much more spiritually aware you become. And see, he's always been a dreamer as well. And his dreams, he had dreams like Daniel and Ezra had dreams. Like, I'm like, what? Say you did what now? Like, and he knows how to interact with his dreams. It's crazy.
It took a lot of trial and error for me to learn how to interact with my dreams, yo. I'm trying to have to get.
Yeah. So. Yeah, it's funny, but we'll be here all day if we start going through some of his dreams. Yeah, everything works better. Yes, everything definitely works better when you take the meat out your system. Tina said, what is the...
And the alcohol.
Yeah, and the alcohol. We talked about that.
Part that really be killing.
Yeah, what does the land food say for me to eat? Is there a book on that says... It's a lot of books on it. You know, I would say just start looking it up. I'll in the comment section today, I'll recommend some of the ones that I got, but I really learned how to do it simply by doing I was Googling stuff. What's the best way to go plant-based? Or I guess I kind of, I did go cold turkey about 10 years ago. Then I had to go out 2 years later. I added the meat back into my diet. Then I didn't even have it in my, I think after I had my child who was 10 years old now, I think after that pregnancy, I completely cut it back out. Because even before I had him, I started cutting back out because I saw how it started weighing my body down again. So I really just YouTubed and Googled a lot, and I just started checking out different references online and some of the other books that people were recommending. I did. You can here's somebody I will recommend to everybody. YAHUAH, right? You can find him on a lot of his videos on YouTube. YAHUAH, his website is YAHUAHAwaken.com, and YAHUAH is spelled YAH''KI, although you don't need to put the apostrophe when you type it in his website. But just type in YAHUAH Awaken, like I've awakened to the truth. YAHUAH, first name YAHUAH, YAHUAH Awaken. And you'll find him. He has a lot of good information, and he'll tell you about how he started in his journey of becoming plant-based. Now he's 100% raw plant-based, right? And he doesn't really cook a lot of his foods, but he will steam some things. But that's where I'm trying to get to, like the 100% raw. Right, I want to try and eat things in its natural state, but sometimes it get a little boring. But so I'm learning how to do recipes and stuff, and just make the variety look better to the eyes, and bless you. Yeah, so I'll share some of those resources. Let me put it. Y'all keep resources. But if you start there, I've gone through a lot. a lot of resources, but right off top now, I'll mention him because he has a plethora of everything, and all the information, most of all the information is there, and he's a really good teacher. You know, so some of the things that I went through before, kind of trial and error, fumbling with different people, I would start with him. Also, Dr. Sabi, there was a time where Dr. Sabi was teaching him, but I think at this point he didn't, because he's still alive. Dr. Sabi has passed on now a couple years ago, but there is way more information available from YAHUAH on this, and it's really good detail. He's a really good teacher. So I would go there, but he'll even tell you about how he began to cleanse his body up and began to go plant-based, how he began to go into the spiritual realm all the time. He's like, wait, what is going on? You know, because it just happens naturally as you begin to cleanse your body up and give it what it was designed to eat, right? So I recommend him right off top. And he has a lot of resources on his website. He's on YouTube. He's on Facebook. But like I said, I put that there. And I'll list a couple other ones, you know, that'll give you some good recipes. Like everybody knows Tabitha Brown. Tab got some good recipes. She plant-based, right? So Tabitha Brown, and there's a couple other ones, but I'll list some so you can kind of look. Yeah, you heard about Dr. Sabi. Okay. All right, y'all, let me finish this. So, okay. You have showed your servant these wonders from the beginning and have counted me worthy that you should receive my prayer. Show me now yet interpretation of this dream. For as I conceive in my understanding, woe unto them that shall be left in those days, and much more woe unto them that are not left behind. For they that were not left were in heaviness. Now understand I the things that are laid up in the latter days, which shall happen unto them, and to those that are left behind. Therefore are they come into great perils and many necessities, like as these dreams declare. Yet it is easier for him that is in danger to come into these things than to pass away as a cloud out of the world, and not to see the things that happen in the last days. And he answered unto me and said, the interpretation of the vision shall I show you, and I will open unto you the thing that you have required. Whereas you have spoken of them that are left behind, this is the interpretation. He that shall endure the peril in that time has kept himself, they that be fallen into danger are such as have works and belief toward El Shaddai. Know this, therefore, that they which be left behind are more blessed than they that be dead, right? So clearly we know now, clear interpretation is those that are taken or those that are not left behind. That mean you died, you're dead. You are no more. Your physical body and your spiritual body has left this realm, right? You are no more, right? Listen, know this therefore, that they which be left behind are more blessed than they that be dead. So if you're a big consumer of the Left Behind movies, they try to show you that those that are left behind, it is worse off for you. And those that were taken, is that blessings in heaven for them. Pay attention. Know this therefore, that they which be left behind are more blessed than they that be dead. This is the meaning of the vision. Whereas you saw a man coming up from the midst of the sea, the same is he whom El Elyon has kept a great season, which by his own self shall deliver his creature, and he shall order them that are left behind. You can also read about this in Obadiah. Obadiah is one chapter, but you will see this in Obadiah. Whereas you saw that out of his mouth there came a blast of wind and fire and storm. Yes.
You might not let me get up there with your food.
Okay, because he's making him a smoothie. Chill out.
She's trying to get on the counter.
Yeah, no, don't get up there, Pooh. Okay. And that he, hold on, let me just go back up here. That's half a sentence. And whereas you saw that out of his mouth there came a blast of wind and fire and storm, and that he held neither sword nor any instrument of war, but that the rushing in him is destroyed the whole multitude that came to him. This is the interpretation. Behold, the days come when El Elyon will begin to deliver them that are upon the earth, and he shall come to the astonishment of them that dwell on the earth, and one shall undertake to fight against one another, one city against another. one place against another, one people against another, and one realm against another. And the time shall be when these things shall come to pass, and the sign shall happen which I showed you before. And then shall my son be declared, whom you saw as a man ascending. And when all the people hear his voice, every man shall in their own land leave the battle they have one against another. Remember, he said, my son, Israel, right? Israel should be the ones leading the world back into the truth. And when my son appears, and when all the people hear his voice, every man shall in their own land leave the battle they have one against another, and an innumerable multitude shall be gathered together as you saw them, willing to come and to overcome him by fighting. But he shall stand upon the top of the Mount of Zion, and Zion shall come and shall be showed to all men, being prepared and built, like as you saw the hill graven without hands. And this my son shall rebuke the wicked inventions of those nations, which for their wicked life are fallen into the tempest, and shall lay them, and shall lay before them their evil thoughts and the torments wherewith they shall begin to be tormented, which are like unto a flame, and he shall destroy them without labor by the Torah, which is like unto me. And whereas you saw that he gathered another peaceable multitude unto him, those are the 10 tribes which are carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hushah the king, whom Salmanasar the king of Asher led away captive. Yes. The king. What paper? Get whatever paper you just took from her. Give it back, please.
Well, I need this. That's for the picnic.
Okay, don't mess with it. That's for her baby's pic. Yes, it's for her baby's picnic. Okay, don't. Listen, she using the Band-Aids for her baby dolls. Okay, and they at the picnic. She taking care of them while they at the picnic. Leave her alone, please. Whom King Salmanasar, the king of Asher, led away captive, and he carried them over the waters. And so they came into another land. But they took this counsel among themselves, that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go into a further country where never mankind dwelt, that they might there guard their statutes, which they never kept in their own land. And they entered into Perith by the narrow places of the river. For El Elyon then showed signs for them, and held still the flood till they were passed over. For through that country there was a great way to go, namely of 1.5 years, and the same region is called Azareth. There's a lot of teachings now on Azareth and where Azareth was located, the place where never a man dwelt, right? So, okay. Then dwelt they there unto the latter time, and now when they shall begin to come, El Elyon shall stay the springs of the stream again, that they may go through. Therefore saw you the multitude with peace, but those that be left behind of your people are they that are found within my borders. Now when he destroys the multitude of the nations that are gathered together, he shall defend his people that remain. And then shall he show them great wonders. Then said I, O YAHUAH Adonai, show me this. Wherefore have I seen the man coming up from the midst of the sea? And he said unto me, like as you can neither seek out nor know the things that are in the deep of the sea, even so can no man upon the earth see my son or those that be with him, but in the daytime. This is the interpretation of the dream which you saw, and whereby you only are here lightened. For you have forsaken your own way and applied your diligence unto my Torah and sought it. Your life have you ordered in wisdom, and have called understanding your mother. And therefore have I showed you the treasures of El Elyon. After another 3 days, I will speak other things unto you, and declare unto you mighty and wondrous things. Then went I forth into the field, giving praise and thanks greatly unto El Elyon because of his wonders which he did in time, and because he governs the same, and such things as fall in their seasons, and there I set 3 days. All right, y'all. So we're going to pause right here. We're at an hour and 14 minutes. So we pause on chapter 14. So we'll read the rest of this, which is the last 3 chapters, tomorrow. You know what comes after this? The book of Maccabees comes after this. I haven't decided whether I want to read through the book of Maccabees, because Maccabees is 4 books long. Let me think about this, because I don't know, y'all. Just in case we don't read it, you personally have to go read it yourself, right? So I'm looking at the time that we have with the splitting up of the chapters. We didn't read it the first 2 times, but I'm really considering adding Maccabees, because it really should be added. You should hear it, like all of the Apocrypha, right? You really should. But let me think about this. Okay. Actually, Maccabees is the last of the books, and like everything else. You know how Malachi is the last book of the Old Testament? It's actually not. It would actually be the book of Maccabees, because everything else before, even before we get to Ezra, all of that comes before. It kind of puts it in the order of, it puts it in a proper order, which is why if you have a Sefer, you will see it out of the normal order of what you would see a regular KJV Bible, or not just KJV, but any Bible nowadays, unless it's like a Sefer, or it's a couple other ones that put it in the proper order, the proper chronological or event type order. So, all right, where we at? Y'all, we're at hour 16. Let me see. We're gonna pause, y'all. We're gonna pause, because this is, I'll have to break it up. We're gonna pause. We ain't get to it today either, y'all. Tomorrow, we might. We're gonna pause. We already hour 16 minutes in. It's Tuesday. People gotta get to work. I dropped my pen. You know what? But we won't get to it till tomorrow, because tomorrow we are not here. So we won't be back here until Thursday, because tomorrow is the last Sabbath of this moon cycle, and we're gonna be watching out for the new moon cycle. Thanks, Pooh. The new moon cycle. Thank you, Barbie. We're gonna be watching out for the new moon to show herself around about Friday, right? So we'll start looking out, start paying attention Thursday. The last couple moon cycles has been really cloudy here, and I had to kind of just go to some of the sites where the moon sites where people from around the world, they began posting. We've spotted the new moon. So the last couple months I had to do that. So hopefully this month is clear enough for me to be able to actually spot it again, because it's been, I want to say, 3 months since I was able to spot her myself here. So with that being said, beautiful people, I hope y'all enjoyed the reading for today. We read 4th Ezra, which is also called 2nd Esdras. Esdras is Ezra in Latin. 11, 12, chapters 11, 12, and 13. And we didn't get to Fossilized Customs because the reading was so long from there. It is June the 8th, 2021, Tuesday, day 175 of year 3 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets, and of the 3-year consecutive day count, day 844. So let's go ahead and do the blessing, y'all, which is found. Everybody know where it's at by now.
Mom.
Yes, Numbers chapter 6.
I said you were almost good. Press that off.
Oh no, we're not cutting it off yet. Numbers chapter 6, verses 22 through 27. And remember, the first 21 verses is a Nazirite vow. Man or woman can take the Nazirite vow. And Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Aaron and unto his son, saying on this wise, Ye shall bless the children of Israel, saying unto them, May Yahuwah bless us and keep us. May Yahuwah make his face to shine upon us and be gracious unto us. May Yahuwah lift up his countenance upon us and give us peace. And they shall put my name upon the children of Israel, and I will bless them. Okay, let me double check. No, I didn't turn it off yet. Stop, Pooh.
I went did it.
Hold on, I'll let you turn it off. Hold on, I'm just checking.
I find it.
Okay, stop. Don't do it yet, Pooh. Okay, I'll remember to post the links about the plant-based, some of the references, and YAHUAH website. And I put his social medias and stuff up there too. Okay. Okay, y'all. So earlier, Trina asked us to pray for her niece. She said, pray for my niece. She is 6 months pregnant, and her 4-year-old tested positive for COVID yesterday. I seen them Saturday. I'm fine, of course. She is a traveling beautician. Keep them in y'all prayers. Their names are Erica and Darion. Okay, so we're going to say a quick prayer. So make sure, Trina, you tell them. I'm not sure how open they are. A lot of people, when they get sick, they're kind of open to wisdom from other people. Tell her, like, seriously, they can fight it off. And you really, this is not the sound. Listen, when we understand how to fix certain things, we don't necessarily need to pray prayers for it, but we can to stand in agreement for them, that they'll hear the wisdom that you'll give to them on how to restore their bodies, and that YAHUAH will strengthen them to do what they need to do to heal their bodies. So a lot of times, some people, not saying this is at all, but from my experience from different people who have experienced different things with their bodies, if you know how it happened, a lot of times you can tell whether it comes from eating or if it's a virus that's been passed along. But even if it's a virus that's been contracted from somebody else and it's airborne, what you simply need to do is to boost your own immune system. And that's the only reason why we get sick, is because our own bodies and our own immune system has been compromised. Mm-hmm. But if you give your body what it needs to boost itself back up, it can begin to fight off the invaders that shouldn't be there. So let her know vitamin C, zinc. If she has the fastest way to get it into your system is juicing. I'm not sure if she has a juicer, but if she can juice, she can. Here is one. And I'll put it. It's called the mucus buster, right? Hold on, I'm gonna put it. So you can share it with her. It's a juice. Like I said, I'm not sure if she have a juicer. If not, she can possibly drink a combination of these juices, or maybe mix it from the freshest one she can find from the store. But it's pink grapefruit. Put up there, pink grapefruit, oranges, lemon, and ginger, right? Oh, ginger and beets, right? Juicing those together. It's an actual recipe. It's called the sunrise juice. Sunrise. But it's also a mucus buster. It tastes delicious. Some people may not like beets or whatever, but you won't even be able to taste it. But it's delicious, and it's an extremely fast immune booster. And if COVID kind of holds in mucus and stuff, anytime you get sick, your immune system, the underlying cause of everything is like the mucus in your system. So if you can get rid of that, or help break that up, or not even give it a chance to bloom and do all the damage that it wants to do, you can help your body recover a lot faster. So tell her, wait a minute, Jeremiah, a lot of fresh fruits. She really should, until, I'm not sure if they've been experiencing symptoms, although they tested positive. I'm not sure why they got tested, if they were required to be tested because they had to travel and it came back positive. Excuse me. But if they're not actually experiencing symptoms from COVID, I would still go ahead and get the juices going, get it up. If she can take supplements, she can. Zinc, vitamin C supplements if she can't get the juice. Quercetin. Remember the quercetin I told y'all about? Now I'll add all this in here for just in case other people who want to know too. The quercetin is an anti-inflammatory, and it works like the dickens. A couple days, like when the seasons was changing, it's cold and hot. Sometimes I may feel it, because you can sometimes feel it coming on. I'll take them, right? And within that day, you will see things kind of like breaking up. So even I'll know if my immune system has been compromised a little bit, like if I've eaten too much junk, because you can feel it coming on. You literally, if you're in tune enough with your body, you can feel it coming on, and you can attack it before it even has a chance to bloom. Right. So just share those things with her, and drink a lot of water to wash everything through. Right. And that's safe for the baby, the 4-year-old too. Like any of the juices, I wouldn't necessarily say supplements. simply because it's a 4-year-old baby. But my kids juice. I juice for them and we do smoothies all the time, and they rarely ever get sick. Like even during this whole course of COVID, even though my husband, he had kind of got a little bug, it seemed like it was symptoms of that. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm quarantining the house and stuff, but I didn't necessarily quarantine myself from my husband. We still slept in the same bed. Even when he was having the cold sweats throughout the night and everything, I still slept in the bed, but I wasn't affected at all, right? And I was juicing for him, the juices, smoothies, and everything. So in about I said a week's time, my husband recovered like full strength, right? And this was a couple months ago, right? But y'all never seen me up here hacking, or I had to take a break because of anything, because I understand, although I'm not a medical professional, don't count this as medical advice. I want you better go. You should give it medical misinformation. I'm just simply telling you from my experience what we use, the herbs, and nobody else in my house got sick, right? And that's just how it works, right? Okay, so we'll say a prayer, and everybody who prays, we pray to Yah alone, right? Pray to Yah alone. We'll say a prayer for to Erica and Darian. Okay, so let's pray real quick.
And lastly, always be open-minded and don't be like Christians. Oh, that's not free. Don't be like that, please. Always be open-minded and be able to accept other things, but knowing.
Okay, Jeremiah, I don't know if y'all heard him. He said, always be open-minded and be able to accept other things.
Mom, give me your hand.
Accept truth.
Give me your hand.
Yeah.
Okay, accept truth. Okay.
Because even though other religions are not, they hold things that we don't know that are in
Come here.
the whole thing. I've actually looked.
Gotcha.
There's a lot of stuff other religions got.
No, Mom.
Yeah, we know.
No going yet.
Okay, so real quick, Tootie, hold on. She's trying to give me a manicure. Okay.
No,
Father,
I'm ready to do your nails.
Listen, I'm going to say a prayer real quick, okay?
No, Mom,
People gotta
I'm
go.
ready to do your nails.
Hey, listen, hold on. We'll do this in a second, Tootie. Okay. Thank you, Jeremiah. Give her a second. Don't make a holler. Okay. Prayer real quick. Okay. Father Yah, we just come to you right now. First of all, we ask you, forgive all of us for all sins we may have committed, sins known and sins unknown, Father. And we bring before you the Erica and Darian. And we ask you, Father, that you give the Erica the wisdom and give her the wisdom to know what's truth and what's error. Father, we ask you to open her heart to truth so that she will know how to keep herself and how to keep her family, Father, safe, not just here in the physical realm, Father, but also in the spiritual realm as well. Father, we ask you if there is anything that may be attacking their bodies from the virus, Father, we ask you that you heal them. But we also ask you that you also give the Erica the mind to obey truth, Father, because we know that that's going to help a lot with our prayers. That if we can line up what we believe with truth to our prayers that we pray to you, Father, our outcome and our experience will be a lot better, and things don't have to go in a way that they could go that may be detrimental to us. So, Father, we ask you that you heal them completely. Father, teach her how to care for her body and how to care for her children's body and to keep them safe, Father, and keep the baby in her womb untouched. Father, strengthen them, heal them, teach them truth, and may they be beacons of light for you forever and always. In your most holy name, Father Yah, we count it done. Amen. All right, y'all. So it's a prayer for her. I don't think anything, I don't foresee anything happening bad. I think that'd be good, Trina. So let them know we prayed for, and I'm sure other people prayed that y'all came into agreement with us in the prayer and everything. So with that being said, beautiful people, we out of here. We gotta go. I see y'all back here Thursday, 7:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and be watching. Give me about an hour, y'all, and I get the references put up here for you. I'll post it in the comment section of Facebook and YouTube. I pin it in YouTube, and I also put it in the description box. So no matter where you go, you'll be able to find it. So, all right, y'all. Love y'all. See y'all back here Thursday. Titus, what's going on, man? I didn't realize that was the comment was from you, the last one. Okay. All right, y'all. We out of here. Bruce. Okay. Press this button. Okay. Now we got to cut it off on YouTube. You want to hit this? Right here. Hold on. Wait. All right. Now hit this button. Wait. You got to hit it twice. Up here. Now hit that one. All right.